Now, mega excited, Kai. This is our first ever How to Cut It podcast out and about in location. And here we are in the social, mates.
In
and
real life, eh?
Real life. I like it.
It's good.
We feel very live lounge here, which is good. That feels good. And as I say, we're on YouTube. So to our YouTube viewers, hello. If you're not listening or if you're not watching on YouTube, then go and check this out. This will be on the Hair Show channel for everybody to listen into. We interviewed you. When was it? Last time?
Ooh, it was like 2 years ago.
Man, it was. So in episode 10. And can you remember what the title was of that?
It was something about a brand. I don't know.
Good to see you remembered that, mate. Well done, you. Creating a unique brand identity. And it was just incredible. The downloads to it were amazing. And I feel like I've been following your journey for quite some time now.
Well, from the get-go, really, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, the young guns of hair. So, we talked. Well, we didn't talk. We actually done a video, didn't we?
Yeah, in a cocktail bar in central London.
We did.
And it was cool, though, to be honest. Like, I looked back at them images recently because I was, like, shifting through the 50,000 images that were on my phone. And it was... I still felt it was pretty current, which is like awesome.
It does look good. So big shout out to Neil Shelby Long, who done the video to that, and that was on Vimeo. So if you want to go and check that out, I'll put the links on the show notes, and you can go and see Kai.
That was many moons ago.
Yeah, we talked about that before, but that's a whole different story. But look, we're back here today. We're doing a podcast, and we talked in the last podcast show about the social, but we didn't go too much into it, and things have sort of moved on a little bit.
I actually didn't have this venue then, I don't think.
Was it not this venue?
No, I think I might have either just been going into it or it was in my old place.
Where was the old place?
In Clapton. And I used to sleep above the backwash, and yeah, it might have been just at the very start of it, but it definitely, I've had this just over 2 years. So
the space is brilliant, and hopefully again in the hair show, we're going to just have some footage briefly maybe of the space, so people just go and check out that space after. Yeah, grab the detail. So come on, I want to learn about the social. I want to learn about self-employed hairdressers working in collaborative spaces. I want to learn about your thoughts on the industry. I want to learn loads. So bring us up to speed for the listeners. What is going on with you right now? Where are we at with the social?
So first of all, welcome to my house. I don't live above the coffee. Yeah, the coffee's good. That's another detail. I don't sleep above the backwash in this place. Obviously, 2 years ago that was what I was doing, but now obviously we've moved on a little bit more, and I now don't live here, which is a good thing because you just never escape work, regardless whether you live there or not.
So where do you live then, Kai?
I live in Brentwood now, so it literally takes me about an hour and a half to get to work and an hour and a half back. So it's a 3-hour round trip that I'm doing when I'm in the salon. Obviously, I travel around the world, which is like amazing. So I never really feel like I'm in one place, to be honest. But when I'm in the salon, it's an hour and a half in, an hour and a half back, and it's good because it helps me switch off. But also, it means that I'm just trying to catch up with emails, with social media and stuff like that, so it's also a negative time as well, and it's a waste of time just travelling about, right? But this is what you've got to do if you want to succeed, I guess. You've got to do these grinds. And
100%. I've got to say congratulations on the space, because it is our first time coming in here, and I just loved it. As soon as I walked in, it's got a good vibe. What was it that struck you about it? What jumped out and made you think this is it, this is the social?
So to start with, the whole story really is I was cutting a good friend's hair. He's called Sonny McCartney. He's a photographer, and we do a hell of a lot of stuff together.
He sounds like he should be very cool.
Mate, he's very cool. And basically, when I was meant to cut his hair the week before, and I remember he cancelled because he got a job, and it was cool. And then he came in the week after, and within that time, he'd found this studio. And he was like, mate, it's really cool. It's on a place called Salon. It's in this warehouse. We're going to start up this photo studio. You should go down and look at it. So I literally finished cutting his hair and rang the owners up from GBL Studios, which is where we're at today. And they were like, yeah, come down and see it. So I went that evening to have a look at the space. And where we're in now, this is where the lorries used to drive in and drop off to the warehouse. So there was no floor. So the owners have renovated the whole space. And like when they were doing it, they used to live in what is now a pizza bar, and like they hold events in there, and it's really cool downstairs. But they used to live in that, in bunk beds, and
it's obviously the thing to do. You've got to live in bunk beds if you're in these sort of spaces.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but again, they were, they had to do that to be able to afford to then get their vision. But they have loads of warehouses now and loads of events, and they've got a lot of like rave scenes going on, and they're doing really cool stuff. But basically, when I came into this space, it was just an empty room. The shutter was still exposed, so what came down where it stopped the lorries from coming in, that was still exposed, so I could see that. And there was like graffiti on the wall, and the boys did a really good job of like scrubbing it down and giving us a base. And it just, I like the fact that you said it's got a good feel, because that's what even in the rubble that was about, I still felt that like cool energy about it. And then my dad came down that weekend, which was crazy, because he'd been banging on about going to see like the David Hockney exhibition. The art is like a famous artist, and he does like a really cool thing with like the big splash, and like I like the palettes that he does, and like I'm not one for like being an art toft, but it captivated me. But we went to see it, so it was the last weekend that was on. My dad came down. He doesn't come to London an awful lot, and he then came to look at the space, and he grilled the owners about the things I don't know about, which I now know about.
What are those things, Carl?
It's just like, is the roof insulated? Like the basic stuff about building. Like my dad's a decorator, he can build stuff. So it was just like the stuff that I haven't quite yet learned through life. So it was really cool. And then I put the deposit down, and then he came down, I think it was like 4 weeks after that. I think 3 weeks after that. And then me and him spent 3 days, basically him and me just taking pictures of him and taking a. But we spent 3 days like developing the space. We had to, get the flow right. And what I like to do when I'm in space is I sit on the floor when it's empty, and I try and experience how I want things to flow. And then a really good tip, which is I like put masking tape down, like on the floor to make sure that the measurements were right of furniture and things like that. And it just gives you a better indication of like how things are actually going to go, because in your head everything actually is a lot smaller than you think, and then it comes, and then you're like, oh, I'm not even going to fit down the back of there to wash people's hair. So that was that. And I dislike hairdressing equipment, as in like furniture, quite a lot. I just think,
I'm going to stop you on that.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It just doesn't interest me. It doesn't shout out like there's an amazing design about it. There is a few companies out there who are starting to do it, but UK, I think, is quite. It's not there yet with the Salon furniture, and so a lot of the time you're having to custom make everything to make it into something that's cool and a little bit more interesting. But at the same time, when you are doing that, it's going to cost you a bomb to custom make something, but it's the details that I think make a space yours and make it different. But there's definitely a few companies out there in the world that are doing nice furniture, but then shipping it over and the cost of that sort of thing is another expense. So by the time you've taken that into consideration, you might as well have just made it anyway.
You're just saying about the furniture, and this takes me back to early memories for me, reading the journal on a weekly basis, and they'd always have the salon interiors in there.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I want a salon, I want to set up a salon, but my God, there was figures of like 100,000 to kit out a salon, 200,000. What's your take on kitting out, something of this super cool vibe? Has it taken huge amounts of money?
Not at all. Like, I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I try and not do things without like that I'm not capable of being able to afford or anything like that. So I've never taken any loans. I've not borrowed any money. It's literally been self-funded. I'm not in any debt ever. So I think because that's then when it starts stress, and I don't think that's obviously a good thing for either the individual doing it or also to have that stress immediately on a business. Hence why we're in an amazing like off the beaten track warehouse.
It's just, again, for the listeners, when we rocked up here this morning, East London, not far from my football team, West Ham. I mean, it really, you're not coming down to, the West End here. This is proper, gritty, industrial. Was that always key for the social brand?
No, I generally don't think too much about where the location is. It was 30 seconds from a tube station, so to me, I'm winning. Do you know?
Which tube station is it?
Star Lane. So
Star Lane Tube Station.
Great name, right?
There we go. It had to be Star Lane. Yeah.
Of course it did. But it's really accessible on our Instagram we have like the train times and how long it takes you to get from A to B, from whether it's Liverpool Street or Stratford or Victoria or wherever some people travel. It's 9 minutes from the London City Airport, so we have clients that fly in and fly out, which is mega cool, the fact that people are loyal enough to do that, and obviously I'm really grateful. And also it's about 15 minutes from the XL building, which is a touch, so obviously...
Good for Salon International.
There you go. Yeah. So we have a brand in here over the weekend that are prepping, and then they go and do the showcase there. So, it's cool. It's really cool, but it's when you come down to it, I like the fact that it knocks your expectations. People think that they're in the wrong place. It's just a black building. Often people walk past it, or they just don't know where it is. And I actually think that is a positive, rather than being a negative. And then when you come into this little space that we've got, obviously it's surrounded by thousands of plants, and
I'm feeling the oxygen in here, man. It's feeling good.
And I think a lot of the things I've done for aesthetical, if that's even a word, like the aesthetics, and then naturally it's become like a positive. So the plants obviously clean the air, so it's a better environment for the people to be in. It's obviously not, I keep saying obviously, I don't know why, but like there's lots of like things about it making a work environment a lot better for people to work in anyway. So a lot of offices are now doing that, but I did it for the aesthetics, but obviously there's another positive from it, which is really cool.
And I'm really keen to get down into the nuts and bolts of the social, because I've interviewed you about it before, and obviously Hunter Collective, another collaborative space. Yep. For the listeners, I'm pretty confident that most people in the industry will know of Kai Wilson or Kai Cut Wilson, but they may not quite get what the social is. So just loosely describe to them what the business model is of this space and how it works.
So I started it because I wanted a cool space for me to work in. And naturally, it's progressed into getting a bigger space and then utilising the space, basically, for whatever reason it is. So for me, it is like a destination for freelancers or anything, really. But it's essentially set up as a salon, but then we can move things around. But it's a destination for freelancers to come, do a day of clients, and leave.
So that's what's really interesting. I know we spoke before, and you cannot plan this, but I believe we hear thunder going on. That is thunder. So listeners, we've got thunder going on in this, adds to it brilliantly. That you spoke to me about before we came into this, and you said about your guest artists, if we call them that, the freelancers, that they can just drop in and go and never do another day here again. Yeah. How does that work?
Well, it's freedom, isn't it?
Wow, okay. Is that how you would like to work if you didn't have this space?
Yeah, that's why I've built this space. It wasn't around when I was there. Yeah, this business model has been going around for many moons, and it's not like new in any means. But the thing that the social does is a true freelance experience. A lot of the salons that do self-employed and things like that and doing it freelance, I've made sure that I am 100% above board with the HMRC. Like, I don't want to go into it too much of like the logistics and everything like that, because it's boring. It's not a boring topic.
No, I understand it. I get it.
When you
has
talk
been
about
covered.
It is.
We'll bring on accountants for that.
Exactly.
One. We'll let them do
but
that show.
For me, it is a space where you come in. There's no hours that you have to work. There's no contracts that you have to sign. As long as I have your public liability and I know that you're insured, like, this space is yours to use.
And a lot of the industry get really up in arms about this. Yeah. And you must find this as well and hear it a lot. I've heard it probably previous podcasts. Yeah. There seems to be this whole debate in the industry saying, I don't think this is right. Collaborative, self-employed, freelance, they don't get the training, they don't get the connection. What's your answer to that? What I wanted to do was create a cool space for people to work in. Like, for me,
people come in and leave, and I'm being inspired on a regular basis. So yeah, you might not necessarily have the first-hand training, but a lot of people anyway, whether in the salons and employed, are self-funding their training anyway. So whether you're employed or not, people are still spending their own money on getting educated because people want to progress within the industry. There's a whole thing about the freelancers not paying VAT and stuff like that, but whose fault's that? It's not the freelancers, it's the governments. Do you know, like, it's businesses.
But I hear people saying about this as well, Kai. And look, can I say I'm a self-employed? Effectively, I have my own space, but I work solely. So I'm a little bit for the independent hairdresser. And I hear people saying, well, they're avoiding VAT. But what's the problem with it? If people want to keep and earn more money, is there an issue for that?
Nobody, like, I am VAT registered, yeah? I don't choose to be VAT registered. Like, it happened, and I had to make a conscious decision to go way above the VAT threshold. Otherwise, you're going to fail. Like, the reason why businesses don't succeed and is purely because of all the business rates you've got to pay, all the VAT, the tax. By the time it comes out of it, you're not making any money anyway. And if I had a salon on the high street, I probably would employ staff. That's why I don't have a salon on the high street. Like, I've kept it within my means. I'm creating a cool space that we do collaborative things in. And the things that really, really do inspire me, like, aren't necessarily the hairdressing. Like, it's more about doing gigs in the salon or doing, like, more lifestyle, like holistic therapy and Reiki and sound healing and stuff like that. So we're giving a different, like, experience for everybody. I think as well, like, when you're working so much, you get sucked into this bubble of the industry. And I definitely did do that. And it's not like the be all and end all.
Stop. Right. You said sucked into the industry.
Yeah.
What are you going on about?
I think as a youngster, I had amazing training, don't get me wrong, and I fell into this, like, world that was, like, really captivating, and it was amazing, do you know, like, but yeah, I felt like I had been sucked into this little bubble, and now I've popped that bubble myself from the inside, and I want to walk, like, out of it and see what other elements we can do with, like, hairdressing. I always think that the hairdressing, like, when I've done it, if I do a shoot, it's the byproduct of what I've done. So I'm never, like, overly excited about the final images that have come back. I might be for a split second, but I'm always analysing it too much that something could be better. But the thing that actually, when you break it down, and what's really important, is the connections that we build up throughout the industry. So we've known each other for years, and you've travelled all this way to do an interview, which is absolutely amazing. And you're doing amazing things for the industry as well, which is great. But you're giving, like, anybody that's a hairdresser a voice. So it doesn't matter whether you won awards or not. Like, you are giving, like, the everyday hairdresser a voice, which is like someone that's working in the salon, literally doing, like, your 9 to 8 and making the money that way in the salon. Like, that's the bulk of the industry. That's like, I've just been in this other side of it that has just been going on forever, basically.
And I think that this is such a good direction to go, because I think anybody that's listened to me before, I talk so often about this, and I'm so with the everyday hairdresser.
Yep.
So with it. Because my problem is, Kai, is that the industry is great, and I think we lose sight of where the industry is, what it is that we all want. And social media, and I know you've covered this, you know, me, what was the when you were...
Stop trying to be
famous. Kind of said it all, and I think hairdressers are almost losing sight of actually why are they wanting to be a influencer.
Yeah.
So is it... And they're losing sight of actually the everyday hairdresser is really what matters. And when you go to industry events, and I see the same people there, and as lovely as that is, I'm not seeing the hairdressers around the UK who are doing the everyday tough stuff.
Yeah. And going back to what I was saying before about, like, hairdressing being a byproduct of, like, what I do, is when you do a client's hair, like, the thing that's actually really important, again, is the relationship that you build. So anyone that's doing, like, how-to videos on, like, however they're doing them, you can guarantee the majority of the people are skipping through the bits that they're doing. They're not going to watch it for 40 minutes watching a haircut, and that's because there isn't any emotion in it. When you watch someone do hairdressing, the only emotion that's there is concentration, like, and it's actually really boring to watch, no matter how much you're into hairdressing or not. So everyone goes down the route, like, yeah, but you could do, like, these cooking, it's like hairdressing but like a cooking show and stuff like that. Like, the thing with cooking, we have, like, other sensory emotions that we're dealing with taste, scent, smell, that's, like, hairdressing doesn't have. So that's why the hairspray image of, like, going out of the hairspray and someone capturing that has become a thing because there's a motive movement going through with the hairspray. It's not about the silhouette of the person doing it or the person receiving that hairspray. It's the motion. So it's like almost like plastic bag. That's what I do all my life. The plastic bag floating through the air. Do you know? And
so it's all about evoking different emotions in watching a video.
Like with people doing...
Do we see you do much of this then?
No,
online?
because I've never found... I don't think it's cool.
I would like to see you... I'd love to see your take on it. But what could that take be?
So the thing that we need to capture when we're doing a how-to, in my opinion, is... And it's taken me lots of years to like come up with the concept and try and understand it psychologically. Like, why doesn't it work? Why isn't it interesting me like when I'm doing it? And it's... The thing that we need to capture is the emotion between the person receiving the haircut and the hairdresser, because that is what's important. And that's why Salon worked many years ago, because it was a conversation that was being filmed and then people wanted them to fuck up. Do you know, like, that's what worked. Like, no one cared about the haircuts unless they went wrong. Do you know, like...
And it's funny you say that, because, again, it's a bit like when you watch... And sorry, listeners, viewers, if we've gone a bit off-piste here, but I love it. This is how I love interviews best. When you watch... Gogglebox?
Yeah.
That effectively is people just watching people's emotions during TV. So is there a place there that we could find that?
Yeah, but it already is a thing. Like, hairdressers watch people when they like mess up, do like home hair dyes and they mess up, and there's like things of like watching people's reactions of that. Do you know, like, so again, like, I think hairdressing doesn't overly, like, when you're in a classroom and you're learning, or in a salon and you're learning, like, by watching videos, then you need to be really in that mindset of learning, and you understand that you are going to be sat there and your mind might drift. But like I was saying, we need to capture the handshake at the start, the story. That. So, like, we could do like a haircut with Kai and we film it, but like the byproduct is the haircut. You can quickly edit the how-to of the haircut, but the thing that will work better is actually the conversation what we're getting, and that's why these work, what you're doing, because it's about a conversation.
100%. I love that natural conversation, and now we're going to have thousands of listeners that are going to hear this, and they're going to think,
go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it. But you've got to do that right. And I do get exactly, we're not seeing, I think I would be really engaged in seeing, as you say, the consultation, the whole experience almost, and just using that in a clever way could be a really good, the reality of everyday hairdressing.
Do you know what's dead weird? I only thought about this yesterday when I was teaching. Was it yesterday? On Saturday. You spend an hour doing someone's hair and they're in a gown, and then they have 30 seconds to tell you whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like,
so right.
It's just weird. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, when you...
But then most clients, don't they just turn around? I think we'll all know the truth of this. Clients will say, yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you definitely have.
But you need to go back and see in that mirror, don't you?
It's not even that. Like, you can't decide whether you like it. That's why when you go home and sometimes they come back, which is fine. Like, it should be allowed to be a thing, because you spend so long doing someone's hair, but then they have like that split second to be like, yeah, it's cool. Like, as a hairdresser, I've always known when something's not right. You feel it in your gut. It's like a natural instinct. So that is when you have to make the decision whether to bring it up and say, or you wait for them to say. But like, again, like I was saying, I just think when we're going back to that client experience, and that is the main thing, and that's why when you start hairdressing, that's the thing that you then love. Like, you love the salon team, you love the vibe, you love the communication between the clients, and then you love it, so you start doing industry stuff, and then it develops like that. You know, like, but really, like, the best thing that I do is when you connect with people.
And that's good. I'm going to ask you that question because, again, as a working hairdresser like yourself, very much. We all kind of work differently, but we don't work differently, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do?
Yeah.
How do you work? With a client, let's just picture one of your most favourite clients comes in here into the social.
Yeah.
And they've got an appointment for cut and finish.
Yeah.
What's that experience like for them with Kai?
Oh, they hate it, mate. Yeah. I think...
conversation, everything.
The setting, the environment. We have our own scent that we're trying to make at the minute, so I've been making that just in my kitchen at home, just with essential oils and getting the right blends.
That's detail.
It's powerful though, but it's not like anything new. Loads of people are doing it for decades, but it's a detail that we do. Like the drinks that you serve, it can be minimal, but it needs to be right. So we have our own coffee that's supplied by Red Bank, which is a coffee company, like a roastery company in the Lake District, and the coffee's banging. Like, I really like it. His been really helpful. Like, we didn't need an expensive coffee machine because we don't have a barista. But if I was on the high street, I'd have a coffee shop in the front, like Mitch has done in Sheffield with Laundry. Like, his space is beautiful. He helped me out a lot with this space, with just with like little niggles that I had throughout. But it was like.
But this all comes down to that experience. So that client comes in, and what do they get? A consultation with you, Kai? I mean, how long do they get that cut and blow dry? Truthfully, when they're with you, I want to know. What's it for?
No shorter than an hour.
No shorter than an hour.
No.
You'll sit down.
I've got no assistants.
Okay, so you wash hair?
No reception. Of course I wash hair, yeah. And I like doing it. Like, it's still to that
Nobody
day.
To do your blow dries?
No. Like,
what's your conversation like?
My conversation is either about them maintaining their hair and styling it, or it's about like conversations like this. Like, we could talk about therapy or whatever. Like, it could be any conversation, but it's definitely not, are you going on holiday? Like, the standard.
Don't you get absolutely tired, sick of that cliche that us hairdressers
have got?
We're the ones, and you say to somebody, "Oh, I'm a hairdresser." Oh, you bet you talk about holidays and Christmas. I know I try and avoid them at every.
But we are creatures of habit, so with everything, and I always try and break that habit. It's not to be different; it's to keep me entertained and also be progressive and evolve. So, like, our little tagline is, "We adapt as you evolve." So that's the socials tagline. So, like, and that's because you have to do that, otherwise you don't progress and you'll get swallowed up. And we are total creatures of habit. So, social media, for instance, everyone's taking a picture of the back of people's heads. Like, I am so oversubscribed with content right now. I don't give a. I'm doing it, right, because it's getting me clients. But at the same time, I'm like,
because you spoke about this in episode 10.
Did I? Right.
And listeners, I'll put the links in there for the show notes as well as on YouTube. So if you want to go and listen to that 2 years ago. But you did talk about, you just said you were so bored of looking at hairdressers' work.
Yeah, well, I still am, and it hasn't changed.
Do you not look at industry work?
Yeah, I do to a certain degree, but I'm definitely not one. Even for certain competitions that are out there, it is the most unrelatable topic that you can possibly give me.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
And go more. I want to know why. Why?
I just don't relate to it. It's a still image. I'm oversubscribed with content. It's something that.
Are you past balayage and waves?
No,
are you into it? I mean, because you will share those images.
Well, of course I will, and it gets me clients, and that's what.
So you're doing that for the client point of view.
So when I teach as well, I'm always telling the hairstylists to decide what hairstylist they want to be. So for me, it's really hard because I want to be everything. So it's hard for me to appeal to an audience of clients, appeal to an audience of hairdressers, appeal to an audience of brands, and build it like that. But like a lot of the time, people want to just be busy in the salon, so appeal and speak to that audience of clients. Like, and then you will be posting stuff like that. But and people say taking a picture of the back of someone's head is easy because not everybody's photogenic. Totally get that. Like, not everybody's photogenic. Hence why me and you have done the podcasts on a podcast before, but now you are not.
We're here.
You've got the confidence up now,
Absolutely. Let's get out there.
But it's so, starting the clients letting take the pictures, or if that client isn't photogenic, maybe that you can do something where you're styling and you film that, and that's the content of that client. Like, it's just really. But I'm just like bored. Like, it's like the same.
Are you bored
thing.
with the industry?
Yeah, I am actually.
I hope you don't mind me asking you that question because. And I want to know, and that's a big statement from you, because Kai Wilson, if you don't mind me saying, you are one of British hairdressing's most exciting hairdressers. Full stop, right? You are. But to hear you say that, and our listeners and viewers will be thinking, what?
Yeah,
you're bored of the industry. Explain why.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never been excited about like that sort of thing, and I think it's such a it's in the minority of like what my everyday life is about. And the things I get interested, like I was saying, inspired by is the conversation that we have between two people. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're in hairdressing or not. Like, that's why I used to cut hair in burger joints, and like that was really cool. Do you know, like it was so cool. And to build that connection with Tom, and over the years, and see him progress and do things, and like that's what really, really like inspires me. The hairdressing is a super, super cool tool to get something out of someone as well. So when I'm doing meetings, they come into the salon. The meeting is a haircut. I talk without thinking because I'm concentrating on the haircut. It's an escapism for me, so it's almost like a meditative, like process the haircut is when I'm doing it. The client feels comfortable, so they open up a lot more, like we already know. And that is what's important. Like, it's about the connection between people. Like, I just think we get so sucked into other things that it's actually not important. I get that people need to...
What do we get sucked into?
I don't know what it is. I guess people like need to offset.
I keep prying and prying,
right.
I like it.
I want you to make me cry, Dom. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the process is like being creative and like and etc., which is cool, and that's an element of doing it. But also, still imagery to me isn't relatable because there is no message behind it. So you might spend loads of money on doing a shoot and making someone look like they've got cool hair, but like, what's the message behind it? Is there something that's going to be thought provoking? Like, is it going to change the world?
People will say, does it need to be does there need to be a strong message behind it?
I feel like it does. Like, I think it does.
Why?
Because for me, it's unrelatable when I don't do that. So, and again, I haven't worked out how to do that, but I think there needs to be stronger messages through the industry that we can be doing at the level that I'm at the minute. Do you know, like, when you first start doing photo shoots and stuff is really, really cool and it's really creative and you're doing that, but like, because we are oversubscribed now with content that we have to do to create business, like, I think we need to have more of a message.
And with you, Kai, and this, I think you are a futurist. You know, I say this a lot. People that just don't follow. I think you don't like following. You don't want to be the norm. And
why is that?
Because I think you've just got. I think it doesn't excite you following. I think you have to be a creator. I think you're in tune. I think you're in tune with what's going on around you. I think some people get it.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I think you feel it. And I've got to be honest, I think I do. I believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe.
Oh, cool.
Look at, but you feel it, and there's a small part of people that are feeling it, and that's what I get from you. And I get what you are doing. I get every bit of it. This excites me more than anybody else, and that's got 100 chain salon. Nothing wrong with that, but I like it because it's now, and people will say, "Is this the future of how we are going in our industry?"
Like, the social is definitely the future regardless, because like I said, we adapt as you evolve. So like, we are going to constantly adapt as it progresses. So like, our business model might change because it might not be relevant then. I've done this for me and it's now adapted, and it's not necessarily me thinking at the start, oh, this is going to change the world. Like, it's just I've done it because it felt right at the time.
Did you see it with a serious business plan?
No, I've still not got one. And like, people are probably shouting at me right now.
There's the world of coaches now, and there's some great people I know in the industry come on the podcast, but we seem overloaded with coaches in some ways. People, but they would say, this isn't the business model for young hairdressers, and maybe people that are in. But
look at Thomas Cook right now. That's happened, yeah.
Okay,
so that's a business model that's been going for decades. And it's now fell on its ass.
And why has that fallen on its ass?
Because it's not adapted to the society that's happening right now.
And why is society driven more to this?
To click to buy?
Yeah.
Because it's convenient.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that's what's powerful about hairdressing. Like, it's always going to be there, which everyone talks about all the time. With like, even people with no hair, it's like putting hair on them, or like, I could give you a really nice like skin fade and it'll make you actually feel like you've had an experience, and that's what it's about, the connection. But
beautiful. I like that. I get that completely. It's an experience.
Yeah.
And when you come into here, you would say that when you come into here, you would say that you're getting an experience. And just coming back into a little bit to your what do we call them? They're not team member. They're what do we call your members in here? People that work alongside you. Is there
that's it. We just hang out.
You're just a crew.
Everyone's
are they
out
all on brand with the social?
Do you know they are, purely because this is attracting the right people. I've never attracted anybody that I've had to not work here, but like tell them not to work here. But the funny thing is, like, I'm also in the power to do that. If I don't think someone's right, I can either make it impossible for them to book a chair in. But for some reason, it is, well, not for some reason, but it's attracting the right type of person. And whether that's the brands that work in here, the freelancers.
But that brings me on to a question I was going to ask you. Is there a right person that fits this type of model? As a stylist, I'm talking about, not the business.
No, like, not on paper. Like, it's not how you look aesthetically. It's not your capabilities of hairdressing, are they coming for you, Dom?
They found out where I am. He's left his studio.
They still won't be able to get in here. But yeah, so like there's nothing that I write down and say this is the stylish that I want. People come here and we have a little meeting and we show them around the space, and I can just feel that they are the right person. Like, if you want to use the space, cool.
And brands use the space, don't they, as you say, and that's great. You also mentioned to me before we came on air about maybe doing some music gigs in here. I've been getting back to something you're quite passionate about.
Yeah, so like I used to study music before hairdressing, and
you do look like you should just have a guitar.
I'm crap now, like, but like my mum's a piano teacher, and she still is, and she taught me piano back in the day. But in this warehouse, there is 27 music studios downstairs, and some talented producers, which is awesome. But yeah, so we want to kind of do our little the social sessions or the social sounds or whatever we're going to call it, and just have like a really intimate sort of gig where people come in and watch. And a lot of my clients are musicians, so it's easy enough to get like the artist to come in. Also, we've got a photo studio next door, so we can go and do a shoot before or after the gig, which is like cool. And again, it's just like candid, real life sort of stuff. And the reason why music works is because it's emotive. Do you know, like, you can feel it. So that's why that works. We want to do supper clubs in here, which would be absolutely awesome. Like, it started with an idea like last year. One of my mates, he was on MasterChef. He sadly passed away now. He died running the London Marathon, which is crazy. But he was super talented, and he was going to come in and do a little session on like a little supper club, and that would have been really cool. But
do think out of respect for him. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
You know,
what a great idea that. And this is the thing about the social. And I know, again, I go back to it, and I know episode 10 that your brand. I mean, brand is important to you, isn't it? But you found your brand not in that corporate kind of brand.
Yeah, I like.
But you know, look, hey, you know, with everything brand coffee, you're a brand man.
Yeah, like I put a logo on a cup. You know, like
but it's important to you.
It's still it's still building, and again, aesthetics are super important. Everyone takes pictures now of the space, so I'm quite anal about when people are working that they need to work off a trolley and it needs to keep clean and etc. And like when you've not got assistants, that's really hard if everyone's busy. You know, so that's why everyone in here helps each other out and they make each other coffees and stuff. And you know, we're not a team as such because it's constantly changing and constantly evolving and adapting. But like, everyone in here are the right people, like we were saying, and it's attracting just the people that want to help each other when they're working.
Do you have to put a strong management head on in here?
No.
Okay, so if I asked your creatives, and I said, what's Kai like to work alongside? How would they say? How would they best describe you?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
I will do. We'll do that in our How to Cut It Live.
Tell them to put some comments, guys, down below.
You can let us all know what you
tell us what you
it's
really
like
think.
to work alongside Kai. Okay, look, so coming towards the time, I mean, this just is a glorious time. I'm actually coming out and doing this live. I'm loving it. I want to do this all the time now, I have to say.
I think it's better because you can connect better. I think we can connect better.
But it's harder for me to, because, hey, until a brand will come and supply me with some serious dough that I can do this on a regular basis, then, you know,
I'll tell you what you need to do. You can come and use a studio and just do a day of interviews. Do you know, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm open to that then, Kai. Hey, you've heard it. You've seen it. We will talk about that more on this. So a really important part for me before I end this interview, and again for our listeners, and as you say, the everyday hairdressers, they're not all in East London. And whilst, you know, it's still cool, this is cool, even though we're industrial, it's cool, it's East London. And I know Lake District, still got your place up there. So you can talk from the heart on this. Because people would say, can I do this idea in a town, a village, somewhere completely new? And if so, how?
It's already started to happen anyway, because they reach out to me and ask me for my advice.
Are you happy with that?
I'm not bothered, mate. Like, again, I adapt and I evolve, and I'll be there. Do you know, like, everyone's doing their own thing anyway. So as long as I concentrate on what I'm doing and no one else, then it's fine. I would just say, really think about what you actually want to get out of it. Whether you want to be buried in books or anything like that, then there's different routes that you can go down. I would just say, think about what you actually want as a lifestyle, and then go like that. This works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for other people. Like, if you seriously want to make money out of people working for you, this wouldn't be the business model for you. Like, it's not. They're the ones making the money. Like, I know that. But Also,
does it still do you okay from a business point of view?
Yeah, of course it does. I'm still here.
Yeah,
2 years
okay,
on.
that's good. Because some will say, you bigger salon, you'll be earning loads more money, Kai.
Yeah, but I don't want the stress of that. Like, I've just got a lock on my door of the salon that I can open and lock on my phone wherever I am in the world. Like, that's so I don't necessarily have to be here when there's freelancers in the building. Like, there's cameras, there's security, there's all that sort of thing going on. But, like, I trust the people that are in here, I open the door, or they've even got access to open the door now, like, if they're regular, and they come in and work. It's not always about the financial gain. Like, I've never done anything for the financial gain. It's just naturally progressed, and then you gain financially.
Amazing. And just a little bit away from the social, you're a father now.
Yeah. 2 years, mate.
2 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
tell you what, when we did the interview last time, I was in her little nursery. Do you know, like, I filmed it there. Yeah. She's called Orly.
So how's that been for you as a father?
It's obviously, I think it changes your perspective on what is important, like, definitely. And everyone says that, and it is a cliche, but it's also mega relevant. And the reason why it changes is because, there's other. This is why it's probably taught me that there's other things in life than hairdressing. But hairdressing is so powerful, like the fact that she watches her mum cut hair, and then she then gets her doll's heads and cuts their doll's heads hair. Do you know, like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
She's potty training at the minute as we speak, so my girlfriend's having.
Has it changed the way that you work, though? Have you had to change the whole dynamics being a father? Because we've talked about mums. Yeah. I actually haven't talked about new fathers.
As a working father, I have a super supportive home, i.e. with Lauren, my girlfriend, and she loves working still, so she also is a hairdresser. But she also tells me when it's too much. I've been away too much. I travel a lot, so it's
and
that's
doing work with brands, isn't it, Kai? When you say you travel,
I educate, I do shows, we do loads of different things. It could be photo shoots around the world, like, it's really cool, fashion weeks, whatever. But, like, I think now it's understanding when a job is there, like, is it worth it, whether that's financially or not, or if it's worth, like, committing that time, or is it not? Like, and it's just making sure you don't miss them important days. And because that is what is important, like, you're bringing this individual into the world and bringing her up or him up, and that is what is important.
Amazing.
To be a good person.
Amazing. Well, look, I've just absolutely loved this has been the best in terms of
thanks, mate.
Do a
little cheeky handshake.
No, honestly, I knew it would, and I feel really connected all the time with you, Kai. You're always there at a point in our kind of what's going on around us, and it's just, I think you're just incredibly innovative and exciting and very grounded as well, which is I love. I divas, but hey, so I'm going to ask you my last 5 questions, as I always do, but before we just do that, links quickly, where can we find you online? So
I'm on Instagram, it's Kai Cut Wilson, or the social LDN, and that is basically all you need to know. Everything else comes from that and expands.
Right, okay, cool. So away from hair, we've got to get to know you. We've got to go through these quickly because we are going into very long territory now, but hey ho, there we go. Right, question 1. Away from work, how do you best like to spend your time?
Around people I want to be around.
Question 2, what's the one song that makes you jump up and hit the dance floor?
It depends how intoxicated I am. But anything, basically.
Oh, you've got to give us one. You can't,
mate. I'm rubbish with this.
Okay. We'll put one in for you then. Okay. Question 3: what was you doing this Sunday afternoon just gone?
I had a roast dinner with friends.
And was it a good roast dinner?
It was good. Yeah, I went for the veggie option. Do you know?
Very good.
Staying hip and all that.
Okay. What was the last big treat you gave to yourself?
A day off.
No, that's a good answer. And lastly, tell us one more thing that we really need to know about you.
I think that they all need to come and see the social. That is what they need to experience.
Amazing. Well, Kai, it's been fabulous, and thank you for coming and allowing us into the space, and certainly for the hair show as well, to be able to see into our podcast. Sir. It's been amazing. Thank you again, buddy.
Cheers.
And I look forward to bringing How to Cut It podcast live event from this space.